Laude Latin honors is given to the student who received the highest academic grades in the graduating class. With a total grade point average of 1.15 from the School of Arts and Sciences, please give a big round of applause to this year's valedictorian, class of 2024, Vincent Abner Linao, Bachelor of Science, major in Communication Arts, Summa Cum Laude.
Mr. Marco Alfredo M. Benitez, University President. Dr. Felina C. Young, Chancellor and Senior Vice President for Academic Affairs. Mr. Alfredo B. Reyes, Vice President for Academic Affairs. And our commencement speaker, Dr. Carol Mark Yee. Deans, program chairs, directors and heads of academic and non-academic units, faculty, parents, friends, and of course, my fellow graduates. Today is the day we've all been waiting for. I stand here today with one of the greatest privileges a student can receive in their lifetime: the opportunity to speak from a significant platform and have my voice be heard by the masses. I carry the responsibility to represent this batch of 2024 with the hope of leaving a lasting impact on my fellow graduates. Magkano baon nyo sa isang araw? 200 pesos? 500 or even more? Or kayo ba yung tao na hatid sundo everyday na may service tapos magdadala na lang ng lunch? Well, in my case, I didn't really receive a consistent allowance from my parents. Minsan may baon, madalas wala. I had to find my own means. But don't get me wrong, guys. It's not like my parents leave me on my own. They are extremely loving and caring parents. My mom, in particular, would always make me breakfast in the morning and pack me lunch every day that tastes so much better than any fast food chain or carinderia around Pedro Hill. Besides, I had my own ways of earning money for school. You see, in 2021, this is also the same year I started college here in Philippine Women's University. In 2021, I was already working as an online English tutor. That's why I'm speaking like this. It was the result of the perfect timing of the pandemic and also the rising trend in working from home, as well as the fact that I had a lot of time in my hands since we couldn't really go out of our homes. While some people were finding new hobbies, I was job hunting instead. I wanted to earn money for a lot of reasons. First, I am very materialistic. In other words, gastosera ako. Yun yung totoo. Online shopping, in-game purchases, buying clothes, hanging out with friends. Those became my hobbies over the pandemic. Second, we all know that the pandemic hit us hard, most especially our finances. People lost their jobs, market prices were high, while resources were scarce. There was also a need to stock up on hygiene supplies and sanitation kits to keep ourselves safe from the virus. My family, we wasn't safe from the pandemic. My dad, who was an OFW and also the breadwinner of the family, was forced to retire. He had to fly back home here in the Philippines. And we had savings to get by, but it could only last for so long. And we eventually ran out. I knew our financial situation very well. And while I understand the idea that kids like me at that time shouldn't be worrying about family finances, that we should let our parents handle those while we focus on our studies. But I couldn't just turn a blind eye and pretend that we aren't struggling to make ends meet, because we are. I also knew very well that my parents wouldn't be able to accommodate my needs as a gastosera. I didn't want to add to the burden of adding to their expenses, which was already so high. So I put matters into my own hands and started to work so I could be financially independent and not need to ask my parents for money. It was fun for a while for sure. The feeling of pride and freedom for managing my own expenses, and even if just for a little, I was able to help lighten the burden on my family, whether this could be paying the bills or buying them groceries from time to time. I also didn't need to ask for an allowance from them anymore, as I had my own source of income. It felt even more gratifying to buy birthday gifts and Christmas presents for them. What I didn't know at that time was that my early start in my career was going to be a slippery slope into burnout, anxiety, doubts, and many more. Eventually, I had to go back to school, which meant I had to fulfill my responsibilities both as a student and an employee. In other words, I was a working student for 3 whole years. And at this point, I was living 2 lives. And to make it even more worse, I even became the president of the PWU Communication Arts Society. So I was really living 3 lives all at once. Because of that, I was close to losing my mind. The pressure of getting good grades so I could keep my academic scholarship, the expectations from a student leader to deliver memorable campus experiences for our department, and my responsibility as an employee to fulfill the duties that are expected of me, and of course, my duty as a son. It was only a matter of time before I broke, which I almost did. But thanks to my friends, I didn't. My friends, the one and only class of ABCA. Hey guys. We were a small but loud group of friends. They were also very well aware of my situation as a working student and were nothing short of supportive. When I would fall into a downward spiral, they were there to pick me back up on my feet. And now I feel like apologies should be made because there were times where I was MIA as a classmate, a colleague, and as a friend. I owe it to them for having a college life that I would never forget. I would even go as far as to say that the reason why I'm standing on this platform today is because of them. I'd like to call this achievement a collective effort. We always had each other's backs, and even though we didn't know what we were doing most of the time, we always somehow made it through together. I'm also very grateful to have a solid support system that consists of kind and loving people. I extend my gratitude to all our support systems, may it be our friends, family, or any of our loved ones. Mom, you were there in every step of the way. The way you light up every time I share my achievements makes me strive to reach higher goals. I hope I have made you proud in my journey thus far. And Dad, you have been the foundation of the family for the longest time. The sacrifices you made as the breadwinner means a lot to us, and it's time for you to let your kids do the rest. Now, why am I saying all of this, you may ask? First and foremost, as a working student, I want my voice and this platform to represent the plight, pain, and turmoil of other working students just like me, who are also graduating today. Students who had to sacrifice their physical and mental health just to be able to go to school and put food on the table. Those who barely get any sleep, spend time with family and friends, and are physically incapable of taking care of themselves due to their schedules swamped by classes and work. My voice goes out to the students who are remarkably passionate to learn, that poverty is not an insurmountable barrier to them. Rather, they break through these barriers and reach tremendous heights through passion and willpower alone. However, we must also unlearn the notion that the lives of us working students, we are not stories of strength, passion, and sources of motivation. Rather, let us listen to these stories. Let us listen to my story and identify the root causes of why the concept of working students exists in the first place. Why do students need to work to afford to go to school? We aren't juggling both school and work out of strength and courage. We live both of these lives at the same time out of necessity, because it's the only way we can finish our education. I also dedicate my platform to the impoverished and to the people who are denied equal opportunities to learn and pursue their education just because they couldn't afford it. Those who, while they could afford to go to school, fail to receive high-quality education because they lack the resources to learn, whether it be their devices, school supplies, or the daily allowances for their school. To the students who strive to get scholarships but are not special enough to be qualified, PWU has several scholarship opportunities for people from different backgrounds. We have academic scholarships for people who dedicate most of their time and energy to their studies. We have the Conrado Benitez Athletic Scholarship for athletes who represent our school, the Underwood Scholarship for those who come from a needy family, and the We Rise as One Scholarship for those affected by the pandemic. We have all of these scholarships. But what does this mean for the students who meet the requirements but don't really reach the threshold of qualifications? Those who are smart but not smart enough to stand out from the intense competitions of academics. Students who aren't qualified for financial grants because they aren't poor enough. Students who are athletic, but not athletic enough to represent our school. I look forward to a PWU, to an academic institution that can give equal and attainable scholarship opportunities for students with varying capabilities, where you don't have to be insanely smart, exceptionally athletic, or extremely poor just to get a scholarship. Let this be a wake-up call for all academic institutions, public and private, to further strive for education that is not just free and accessible, but also doable and attainable. Our current education system was designed for those who are capable and have access to the necessary resources to complete their studies with minimal difficulty. It was structured in a way that expects students to give 100% of their attention to education. However, times have changed, guys. Life has become increasingly difficult, and the challenges grow with each passing year. With a fragile economy, skyrocketing inflation rates, and political instability, it is becoming harder to concentrate on our studies amidst these distractions as we carry the burden of financial instability as well as an uncertain future for us. Today, I am sure that a lot of us are living more than just one life. We aren't just simply students anymore. Some of us are single parents who have to nurture their kids on top of attending a whole day of classes. We have breadwinners who have to provide for their family while they study. student athletes who train early in the morning every day just so they can represent our school. And of course, student leaders, the most selfless people who would sacrifice their academic performances just so they can deliver outstanding campus experiences for the student body. We are much more than just students. And even if we want to dedicate all our energy, time, and effort to our studies, we simply just can't. We have other responsibilities to fulfill that are just as important to us. So I look forward to an education system that advocates for students who live other lives apart from being a student, and allows them to do so without consequences or risks to their academic performances. I say this because I have encountered a handful of professors, not just in PWU, who discourage students who are not able to focus on their studies because they have other responsibilities outside of school. I was one of those students. I was told that I should quit my job and just focus on school. What that professor didn't know was that if I quit my job, I wouldn't be able to go to college at all. So I look forward to an academic community that is aware that us working students, if it was our choice, we wouldn't choose to work just so we can pursue our studies. We want to learn just as much as any student. I look forward to a PWU as an academic institution that accommodates the differences of the student body and understands that we are more than just students. My fellow graduates, we have endured so much and gone so far. We all had our own struggles and fought our own battles. I believe that each and every one of us are able to reach greater heights. We prevailed despite the challenges we faced, the environment we were placed in, and the variables that were out of our control. But our journey doesn't end here, and it definitely doesn't get any easier. As we close this chapter in our lives and exit the doors of these halls, we begin a new mission. We start a new life to live. Let us be champions of hope, leaders of change, and pioneers that transform communities. Let us ensure that the next generation receives better and higher quality education without going through the hardships that we did. Together, let us put matters into our own hands and dedicate ourselves to the pursuit of a better and more secure future for ourselves, our community, and the next generation. Thank you, and let's keep this morning wonderful.
Thank you, Vincent.